Good afternoon to the Chevra. I wanna thank the yeshiva. It's a schus to come here and to learn some Torah, to maybe sing together. It's an absolute schus to be here for many reasons. It's a schus specifically to be in this yeshiva. I want to express. It's not my place to speak about the Rosh Yeshivas and Adam Gadol. It's not my place to qualify or to just say praises. I could just express that when things happen in our people, I like turning in and listening to what the Rosh Yeshiva Shluta, what Reb Berkowitz shares to me and my family. I want to hear what the Rosh Yeshiva's hadracha. There's a siyata d'shmaya. There's a heavenly assistance for somebody who's a manig b'Yisrael. For somebody who has a heart for our people, there's a special siyata d'shmaya to what they say. I heard the Rebbe was speaking to his Talmidim. Good to see you, Danny. The Rebbe was speaking to his Talmidim, and they were asking, would you say that elsewhere? If the Rebbe's speaking, there's a siyata d'shmaya for a Rebbe like this yeshiva, for Rosh Yeshiva, that this yeshiva zeicha to. There's a special siyata d'shmaya. There's a heavenly assistance. I remember with my Rebbe that I would find when he would share Torah, I would find that my Rebbe would speak exactly what I needed to hear, but exact. I'm not talking about roughly. I'd have something on my mind. I'd have a private thing. I thought he was like a Ruach HaKodesh. I thought he sees through me, and I'm coming. But the problem is that's so arrogant. There's a lot of guys in Shir. So he's looking at me, he's looking at the other guys too. And I've come to understand that when you go learn Torah by a sincere person, Hashem speaks to us in the Torah. Hashem's talking to us in the Torah. Hashem's speaking to us. The Torah, Hashem's saying to us. And a Rebbe who's sincere, who has space for the Talmidim, teaches us Torah, and we hear, and Hashem talks to us and tells us. So it's not a chiddush, exactly what was on my mind. You go learn and you hear. Of course it's that way. You ever notice you go to shul, this week's parsha will go to shul, and the Rav's going to speak about Parshas Va'era. Maybe you should say, Dani, a word on Vayechi or Lech Lecha. Why is he going to say on there? It's like a cute rabbi trick. You tie in Yamach Shemai, I ran it. You tie into the Parasha Geshmak like it's a rabbinic trick. We're not into tricks. Why is the Rav? Maybe there's something better in a different week's Parasha. Why is he saying, you have a family Sheva Brachas, Dani, so you look at that week's Parasha. Maybe the Chassan, and people can even distort things to try to fit Chassan into the Parasha. Maybe you should say from a different Parasha. What Klal Yisrael does, don't be cynical. We're very holy people. Just study our people. Don't correct. Don't knock our people. Study. There's tremendous holiness in our people. Why do we say from that week's parasha? Why are the Sheva Brachas this week? Will you either say Shmais and Ve'era, maybe say a different parasha? And it's pasha to what I understand. What I understand is that if all of Klal Yisrael is reading Psukim, so then Hashem's talking to us now. So then it makes sense what's happening is going to be in the parasha. All of Klal Yisrael is reading Ve'era, so then Ve'era is talking to us right now. If I'm making the Sheva Brachas this week, of course the Sheva Brachas is going to be in the parasha. All of Klal Yisrael is reading those Psukim. That's why it's Shavim now. All of Klal Yisrael read Shemai. So then that's exactly what's happening. That's exactly the Metzius of now. That's true certainly if all of Klal Yisrael is reading Psukim, all these Klal Yisrael, if thousands of Yidden are learning a Blat Gemara, there's so many stories with Daf Yomi where Mamish talks to the exact. We had a mice and my father was very attached to the Daf, and on the day of his Petiras, Mamish, we had a mice, an incredible story. On the day of my father's Petir with Daf Yomi, if thousands of Yidden are learning something, of course it's going to talk to us exact. But of course, my father was very attached to Torah. And in his sleep, he would say Divrei Torah. That wasn't such an uncommon thing, that he was attached. So even in his sleep, he would say Divrei Torah. And the first Gemara, my mother in the morning, the first time she heard, they were just a newlywed, she asked my father, what does this Gemara mean? So he said, how do you know this Gemara? So she said, you taught it to me last night. You was teaching this Gemara. So he explained to her what the Gemara meant. That was the first time she had heard him. He said he had learned the Gemara 2 years before. And that's the Gemara. He doesn't know why. He wasn't holding there, wasn't on it. But that's the Gemara that he taught that night. On the day of my father's Petira, with the Daf Yomi was that Gemara. On the day he passed away. And my mother took the Gemara itself as like a charge. The Gemara was, there are 3 things, milsa b'lei taimi. 3 things that don't really have a mechanism, but they're the halacha. If a man gives his wife everything he owns, he writes to his wife before his passing, that whatever I have goes to you, so she doesn't become the owner, even though he gave it to her. He is just making her not be truppus. He said it's hers, but he's just making her an executive, and she's charged to give the money the way, to run his possessions, but it goes to the Yarshim, to the rightful inheritors. So that's the Gemara, the first Gemara my father taught my mother. And the Daf Yomi on the day of his Petir was that Gemara. And my mother is a very strong, is a very styridic person. And she took that as a charge. He had a koil, she kept running the koil. Things that were out of her comfort zone, she took it as a message from Hashem that you're not betrupus, and your job is to continue. And she's continued things of my father that were out of her comfort zone because of this Gemara. Now it's pashut. It's pashut that if all of Klal Yisrael reads Psukim, if all of Klal Yisrael's learning, so then Hashem's talking to us. That's what it means to learn Torah from a Rebbe. So Hashem is through the words of the Rebbe, through the Torah, through the mouth of the Rebbe, we hear the Dvar Hashem. So it's to be expected. Somebody who has a heart for Am Yisrael, somebody like your Rosh Hashiva, who has a heart for our people, he shares the Torah, that he's sharing the Dvar Hashem, exactly what we need to hear, when we need to hear. Is it a wonder that like something's on our mind and then we go hear Torah? And that's, I couldn't believe it growing up. Is it a Ruach HaKodesh? Maybe this is a Ruach HaKodesh of sorts. It's a Rebbe teaching Torah. That's what one could expect in learning Torah. One can expect and learn Torah from the place. Open up a Chumash from your story. Open up the Chumash, open up a Gemara, open up the Reb Chaim from your story. Don't force anything. You don't have to stop the chasna in the parasha. If you're in the middle of a Sheva Brachas, when you read the parasha, you're coming in. As somebody who has a Sheva Brachas that week, of course it's going to tell you things about the Simcha, obviously. That would be bizarre not to. Hashem's talking to you. Hashem doesn't ignore what you're going to. He's talking to you. So if you're going through something, bring it to Seder. Bring it to Shir. Bring it. And learn Torah. Just don't force. Don't stop. Just bring it. Be present. Be open-minded, of course. When your Mava said you're reading the parasha, of course you come with your story. You'll find it's like Hashem just going to tell you exactly what you need to hear for your story. If you can't find it, don't force. I'm not clear. Don't force anything. Don't force anything. But learn Torah. Mamish learn. Bring yourself. Let the Torah talk to us. So it's a tremendous chus to be in a Makam Torah with one of the Manhigei Hadar who runs such a yeshiva. And it's a beautiful yeshiva. That this yeshiva is right by the Kaisel, right here. My wife and I was zeicher to spend one Shabbos in my life in this, right next to the Kaisel. We couldn't believe it. The different Yidden, Yerushalayim is amazing. Boine Yerushalayim Hashem. Yerushalayim is a Metzias of Nidchei Yisrael Yechanes. Here everybody's wanted. Here everybody's welcome. That's Yerushalayim. The Kaisel's a Metzias, everybody's drawn here. A Yid has a space here. A Yid's wanted here. So to have a beautiful yeshiva, here a Yid's wanted. Here a Yid is seen. Here a Yid is respected. It's a schos to be here. I want to learn Torah. We're talking about learning, so I do want to learn Torah with the Chevra. But if I could ask first, if we could sing something together. I don't like to jump into learning or to singing. There's nothing wrong. A group of friends, Danny, are around and they feel uncomfortable, so they sing. And it relaxes them. That's not a bad thing. It's not even to learn Torah. A group of people, you go to a chasna, and two guys can't be comfortable, like they say, a vart. It's not a Torah. When I met my daughter-in-law for the first time, I promised myself I'm not saying a vart. I don't want to use Torah as a kardam lachbar, like a way of being comfortable. I want to meet my daughter. I want to meet my daughter-in-law. Hi, meet a person. I don't want to use Torah for us to get. I don't even want to use niggin to get comfortable. We could be comfortable. I'd like to go around the room. We could meet each other. Yidden could be present to each other. Two Yidden can enjoy. And then from that space you can sing. I'd much rather, I like Zmiris after Danny, we sit, we enjoy each other, we're comfortable. Then two Yidden sing. That's a much better song. It's not escape from discomfort. We actually, two Yidden could see each other. I like learning from that space also. It's not a way, it's uncomfortable. Quickly open it up, say, no. Two Yidden can enjoy each other, be present, and then learn Torah. It's a zaman. We can learn Torah together. So it's really, if we could sing a bunch of Yidden in a room together, if we could sing the Barditch Vernigan, it has no words, so you can think whatever you want. I like praying in this song. I personally like praying that Hashem gives me the einayim to see that my avodah matters, that my neshama is precious, to have a neshama with an with a light that Hashem bestowed in me that's important, and to see that in others as well. That each person has a tremendous light to bring to the world, and to use the Barditch Vernigin, who was a Yid, who was a Metzius of seeing in Yidden. He was blown away by Yidden. He wasn't being nice to Yidden. He was nishtaimim from a Yid. He lost his mind. He would meet a Yid, he'd lose his mind from a Yid. The light of a Yid was appelled by the Barditchever. And I want to use the tune that's called the Barditchever Niggin, and perhaps he composed to taka, to be mispalel, that Hashem should give me einayim, and give you einayim, and give us einayim, and give the entirety of our people einayim, to see that there's no extra Yid in the world. A Yid has an art to bring, to see that in ourselves, and to see that in others as well. So for Yehuda, I thank Yehuda Krupka. We came along to Eretz Yisrael. I thank him for being here. It's really right. Thank you, Yisrael. Good to see you again. Thank you, Gabriel. I want to learn together a Gemara that the teaching of Amram Chasida, the teaching, it's a Gemara Kedushin Pei Aleph, and the teaching very much the way it looks to me, what I'm learning from this Gemara, I was taught by my Rebbe, not from teaching this Gemara. I didn't learn this Gemara, I don't believe, with or from my Rebbe. But my Rebbe taught me and my friends, I find in this Gemara. And when I came this morning, we were Zayich at some of the Chevra, we were Zayich to a few minutes of the Rosh Hashiva's precious time, and he shared a story about my Rebbe I never heard before, Shmuel about our Rebbe I never heard before. And to tell you just a little bit about my Rebbe, for a few minutes, to tell you about my Rebbe, he was somebody who was a student of his own father. His father was a big tzaddik. His father was a Slobodka Talmud, and he was a student of his father. His father took him out of school in about 7th grade. There weren't people where he grew up who were Shomer Torah Mitzvah. There weren't so many. The community was mostly Yidden who didn't know about Torah and mitzvahs yet. And my Rebbe's father was his first Rebbe. I was zeichet to meet my Rebbe's father as a youngster. He was a big tzaddik, a beautiful Yid. My Rebbe wrote a sefer, Tzidkasei Omedes La'ad, about his father, who was an incredible tzaddik. And his first Rebbe was his father. Then his father brought him to Rav Aaron Kotler, to the great Lakewood Rosh Hashiva, and he was zeichet to be a tremendous iskarvus, to be very, very close to Rav Aaron Kotler. He was an American kid. The first time his father brought him to Rav Aaron, my Rebbe put on a ring to greet his Rebbe, to greet Reb the Gadol Adar. He put on a special ring that he had gotten in school that he wouldn't wear stam, but to greet a Gadol, he put on the ring to meet Rav Aaron Kotler, to meet his Rebbe, and Rav Aaron became his next Rebbe in life, and the rest of his life. His father was his Rebbe, Rav Aaron Kotler. He was very, very mekurev to Rav Aaron Kotler. My Rebbe had a beautiful voice, and Rav Aaron would ask him to sing Lulei Sarascha, would ask my Rebbe to sing it. And when my Rebbe sang Lulei Sarascha, it was like a time machine. It brought him back. He went back to Rav Aaron Kotler. I'm convinced he wasn't with us when he sang Lulei Sarascha. He was back in front of Rav Aaron. Rav Aaron who taught Torah. Rav Aaron saw in the American kid that people thought, like somebody said publicly, Cutlerism won't survive on these shores. The person was a very pragmatic, was a practical person. Said American kids following Joe DiMaggio like no shaykhs. Rav Aaron didn't buy that. A Yid is a light from one end of the world to the other. Rav Aaron saw that in any Yid. Who cares where they're from? No shaykhs. And Rav Aaron taught Torah, and he energized the generation. And my Rebbe went on fire for life. And when my Rebbe would sing Lulei Sairascha, it's otherworldly. Stam had a beautiful voice, but Lulei Sairascha was other. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What's your name?
Sagi.
Thank you, Sagir. All the things we get are not from us. We're all the poorers, but we thank the poor and then we remember who sent it. Always. Thank you. So my Rebbe, when he sang Lulei Sairascha, we were like, we were transported back to Rav Aaron. You know why? We should sing it right now. That'll be weird not to. Let's sing Lulei Sairascha. But I'm in middle. We're in middle of a story where I want to get to the Gemara. But let's sing Lulei. I need to sing Lulei Sairascha. Let's sing Lulei Sairascha. So I didn't know it would be a musical story, but okay. My Rebbe's two Rebbeim at first were his father and Rav Aaron. And if I can't speak to my Rebbe's whole experience, I could only say from a Talmud that it looks to me he got from his father the cheshivas of every Yid. A Yid was big by him, even the cheshivas of a guy, lahavdil. My Rebbe respected and learned and appreciated every guy. And then a Yid was a different world, and he got that from his father. His father was Mechabed Yid and Nifla. A Yid was a big deal. The mitzvah of a Yid, he'd go to one end of the world to the other. For a Yid, a mitzvah of a Yid, the cheshivas of the avoid of a Yid, that he got from his father. And from Rav Aaron, he got an attachment, a fire, Torah, a love of Torah, a joy of Torah, a chiyus of Torah. And that we saw, and he had two great Rebbeim, and he had that. And then he gets married, my Rebbe. He's in his upper 20s, and a Chiddush Nifla. I wasn't born, but as Talmidim of my Rebbe, he did something so unusual. You have two Rebbeim, quite large. Gedolei Yisrael, Rav Aaron Kotler's your Rebbe. His other Rebbe's his father, two Gedolei Yisrael. The tendency a person would think, I have. That's it, I have. I'm good, I have. I know I have. And every Beis Medrash has a secret. Every Beis Medrash, wherever you learn, you should feel you have the Rosh Hashanah, you have secrets nobody in the world has. Every Beis Medrash has secrets, and that's a good thing to feel. And my Rebbe certainly had secrets that he had. And then he did something so smart. He took another Rebbe. And he married the Alter of Nevardik's great-granddaughter, and her grandfather was Rav Yaffin. one of the main Talmidim of the Alter of Nevardik, and my Rebbe took on his wife's grandfather as a new Rebbe. It changed his life, and then it changed the Talmidim's life, and it added a whole nother component to Avodas Hashem. But all from being so smart that the more you have and the more secrets you carry, to know every Beis Medrash should know they have emes, but there's emes. Other people have secrets too. There's a lot of light out there. We have tremendous light, and we could also get light from elsewhere. We're watching, you're Zeichen to be right here with us, like extreme Kibbutz Galius. Kibbutz Galius is Yidden are learning Torah. Svardim are learning from Ashkenazim. Ashkenazim from Svardim. Chassidish from Litvish. Litvish from Chassidish. That's the Iker Kibbutz Galius. B'das, that we're seeing the light in each other. Every Yid has so much to bring. And my Rebbe added having so much, and he could have said, he got a new Rebbe, and he became a lifelong Talmud of Ram Yafin. When he was Nifter, he took on Ram Yafin's son-in-law, Reb Leib Nekritz, and that was his new Rebbe, his new Mahalach, and he added the Nevardik Mahalach. Nevardik was many things. The chesed in Nevardik was lo ye'umen, was remarkable, the kindness. But one aspect of Nevardik, we all care what people think, and it's a good place in us. You're actually mechuyev to care what people think. We care what people think. We're wired to care what people think. It's a good thing. I'm sitting here today. I don't want to embarrass Eliyahu, my friend Daniel, my son's here. So I'm hoping like it sounds okay. It's normal. We care what people think. It's normal. So I hope it's normal. Like some Meshugana comes, he's singing, he opens Gemara, hasn't even read from it yet. So you're hoping it's like somewhat normal. Well, not normal, but it's still okay not to be normal. It's near the Kaisel here, Yidden are accepted, so there's room for me. And it's normal to care what people think, very normal. But in Nevardik worked a lot on plug into the emes. And at times in our life, we're Ivriim, we're in Ivri. In Ivri is a Metzias, this week's Parsha. We're called Ivriim, Elekeya Ivriim, and Ivri is the name of our people. We have to walk alone sometime. Even with the beautiful chevra, it's a big sugya of our dar. It's a very pneumistic adar. People are very in touch with loneliness. And even you could have the best yeshiva, the best chabura, a person walks alone in a certain way. There's a loneliness that's real. You can't be afraid. Loneliness is real. And there's a space and the ability to walk alone, to do what's true, what's right, what's emes, and connect to the Rebbeinu Shloim. And not listen to noise of people who mock, who say they, an outside voice. In Nevardik, this was a big sugya. Doing what's true, not taking polls. And my Rebbe, the Rosh Hashiva here told me a story about my Rebbe was fired for something, doing what he felt was right. That was I never had heard the story before, but he was a Metzias, and this was from his Nevardik. There was a big Hadgasha, Chesed, Emunah. Emunah was a big topic by the Alter of Nevardik, a big sugya of faith in Hashem, Emunah, and big sugyas of plugging into what's right, even if you have to stand alone. In that space of loneliness, doing what's right. The last conversation I was able to have with my Rebbe was together with my son Moshe, really led by my son Moshe, and the conversation was about loneliness. Beautiful conversation, but about somebody walking alone. And we're Ivriim, which is the Kayach, Avram Avinu, Ever Hanar, the whole world believing one way. Avram Avinu is not afraid to walk alone. Avram is chesed, is very connected, spoke to everybody, Kefi Daitai. Was a connector, of course, but he was not afraid of an Ivri, of being alone. And my Rebbe brought from Nevardik this energy. So with this backdrop of Nevardik, let's study a Gemara that I love. Let's learn Pei Aleph, Amud Aleph. It says as follows. The Gemara says, Hanach shvuyasa da'asoy linarda. There were captives. It's a sugya would perk anybody who's lived through what we have lived through in the last couple of years. There's a sugya we would perk up by just by these words. There were captives that were brought to Narda. Yidden had been captured by the Ummahs. It's happened a lot in our history. And there were Yidden that were captured by the Goyim. And our job is to break free and help Yidden break free. So there were captives who had come from Narda, Askinu Lebei Rav Amram Chasida, and they were brought to the house of Rav Amram Chasida. Rav Amram the Chassid, they were brought to Rav Amram, this tzaddik, it was ladies, it was a bunch of women who were released hostages, and they needed, till they got them home, they needed a place of residence. So they brought them to this tzaddik's house, Rav Amram Chasida. They were upstairs by Rav Amram Chasida's house. Shakle Rav Amram Lidarga. I'm sorry, I skipped a little. And it says, Ashkulu Darga Mikameyu. They were upstairs, Rav Amram Chasida lived downstairs, and they removed the ladder so they couldn't be reached. Shouldn't be a problem of yichud. There was no ladder, there was no access from Rav Amram Chasida's apartment to their apartment where these nashim, where these heilige Yidden were staying. Hashem gave Rav Amram Chasida, this tzaddik in the Sayin, a light came from one of the nashim down to Rav Amram Chasida, and he had a taiva, Yetzahara, to do an avera. Shakle Rav Amram L'darga. Rav Amram carried the ladder. 10 men couldn't carry the ladder together. 10 men couldn't lift it to go upstairs to the nashim. And Rav Amram's desire was so strong, Dalya L'chudei. He carried the ladder, one person, such was his desire. He had so much adrenaline, so much kayach. He wanted to do an avera. He carried the ladder by himself. Salik va'azal, and he starts climbing the ladder to do an avera. Kimata lepal gadarga, when he came halfway up the ladder, ifshach, he buckles down. He's a yid. He doesn't want to do an avera, but he has an asayan. He buckles down. He buckles his knees. He's fighting a struggle not to climb the rest of the ladder. He's fighting Rav Amram. Not to do an Avera, Rav Amram's fighting. Rama Kala, Rav Amram starts screaming. Nura Bei Amram, fire by Rav Amram's house. He starts shouting, there's a fire by Rav Amram's house. Asu Rabbanan. So you can imagine the whole block comes running. Fire, the tzaddik Rav Amram Chasida. Now picture the room. Be very visual with me. I happen to love ladders, one of my favorite items in the world. I have a camp, we call it ladder. In my shul on Simchas Torah, we dance, we climb ladders the whole time. I love ladders. It's a quirk, a weird thing about me. I like ladders. So this Gemara is not the reason I like ladders, but it sure helps. Rav Amram Chasida is halfway up the ladder, and he's shrieing, fire! So the whole block comes running in. Now picture the scene. Talmidim love their Rebbe. The Talmid Rav Amram Chasida would speak about their Rebbe. They're talking about it, people. They're talking about their Rebbe. And the whole block, the whole community is in his house now. And the Rebbe is halfway up the ladder. Everybody understands why. When captives come back to our people, our whole people know about it. We're excited, we're freilich. It was put there because there he won't do any averis. There they're safe. And Rav Amram Chasida is halfway up the ladder. Everybody understands what's happening. You could pick out his students in the room of hundreds maybe. You could pick out, how do you know which are Rav Amram Chasida's students? The ones who are red as tomatoes. They spoke, my Rebbe, and then with the neighbors, with their friends, with their parents, they're in the room, and the Rebbe's halfway up the ladder to do an Avera. Busha. Embarrassment. The tomatoes are his Talmidim. They're mamish bright red, unbelievable busha. The Rebbe's halfway up the ladder. He called out fire as a way not to do the Avera. So he said fire, and tons of Yidden ran in. Now he's just on the ladder. So the Talmidim say to the Rebbe, Amrulei, the Talmidim they call up, Rebbe! They call up to the Rebbe halfway up. They say, Rebbe, you killed us. They say, Rebbe, kasvesinon, you've embarrassed us, you've humiliated us. We're humiliated, Rabbi. We're humiliated. Before I say Rav Amram's teretz, I don't understand their kasha. I don't understand the Gemara. The Talmidim are called, Rebbe, you disgraced us, Rebbe. This is crazy. You embarrassed us. What's their kasha? What are they saying? What do you want him to do? Should do the Avera? What are they asking their Rebbe? You embarrassed us. Yeah, okay, I hear. Yeah, get another Rebbe. I hear. I'm Mashir. You've been embarrassed. What are they asking the Rebbe? Rebbe, we're embarrassed. Elamai what? You should do the Avera, not embarrass us? What choice does Rav Amram Chasida have? He calls fire and he's saved from the Avera. Rebbe, we're so ashamed. This is so embarrassing. This is crazy. What have you done to us? What's their question? What do they want? What are they saying? Rebbe, you should have done the Avera and not embarrass us? He can't do the Avera. He saved himself. I hear you. What's their tiny Rebbe? You embarrassed us. Does anybody have a pshat? I went to Gedolei Yisrael to ask this kasha. I should ask the Rosh Hashanah. I'm asking tzaddikim. What are they saying to the Rebbe? You embarrassed us. What's their taina? Elamai what? They're just saying a statement. We're embarrassed. Of course they're embarrassed. You can see their tomato. They're embarrassed. What's the word? They're saying something. Amrulei. They said to him, "You embarrassed us." That point, like stating the obvious. You think?
Why do you have to call us in? Why do you have to make this public?
Because he would have done the Aveira. It was a good trick. It got him not to do the Aveira. He's sitting on the ladder. He's driven. So he called people in. It saved him. What's their tiny? You embarrassed us. It's in Hanami. They're embarrassed. I like what you're saying is what I did. What you had, Rabbi. What do you do? I get it. But what? But what's the other choice, Binyamin? Elamai what? So it's true, you embarrassed us. I hear. But they're saying the Talmidim are saying something. Rebbe, you embarrassed us. Yeah. Reb Mati, what's pshat, Reb Mati? You embarrassed us. I hear. Yeah. What's your name? Hanan, please share this.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure. No, you're such a strong figure that you could have brought yourself in the ladder. Why did you need us to come and rescue you? You're such a strong figure that you should just come down yourself.
But he couldn't. He couldn't. They're like Nishtoimim, you embarrassed us like you couldn't think of another way. Pashtus. And again, we're learning Gemara. I know it, no rights on the Gemara. I'm learning Torah. What are they saying? What are the Talmidim Elamai? It appears to me that he had other ways of not doing Avera. I'm not saying Behechrich. It looks to me from their taina that they held that he could have done something else to save himself. Otherwise, I don't understand their taina. If he had other ways not to do that, Rebbe, we are embarrassed, Shein Kamayu. The Rebbe's halfway up the ladder, and you had another plan. Otherwise, I don't hear that taina. If you're masking that he had another plan, then we have to work on his answer. So he says back to his Talmidim, Amar Lahu. He says back to his Talmidim, Mutav, it is better. Tichasfu bei Amram ba'al ma'adein. Let Rav Amram's Beis Medrash be embarrassed in this world. V'loi tichasfu min la'al madasi. And in Olam Haba, you won't be embarrassed from me. You're embarrassed now, but at least in Olam Haba, you won't be embarrassed from me. So that's what Rav Amram Chassidus says. Now, if there was another way of saving himself, then the answer doesn't make sense. Better to be embarrassed now and not in Olam Haba. I don't want to be embarrassed in Olam Haba, but I'd rather not be embarrassed either time. And if you had another way of doing it, what's Rav Amram Chassidus' answer? So I would like to suggest, Chevra, like this. I think he had another way to save himself. Later on, he sends the Yetzer Hara away, so clearly he had a kayach to get rid of the Yetzer Hara. He does that later on in the story. What I want to suggest is he had another way to save himself, and that was the Talmidim Steiner. Rebbe, we're embarrassed. And I want to express that when he said it's better to be embarrassed now than Olam Haba, he's not talking about today and tomorrow. When we say Olam Haba, it says a person's a ben Olam Haba, some is Saimech Kula Tefillah. we mean that it's possible to plug into emes. Rav Amram Chasida, from his perch on the ladder, spoke to all of us, and I would only learn by a Rebbe who would stand a Rebbe like this. I go to learn by such a Rebbe. And what he says is that I want to show you can go perception, what people say, and take votes, and we care what people think. It's not a bad thing. But it's possible to be plugged into an emes that stands for all eternity. Rav Amram said, in our yeshiva, we're going to plug into what's emes, to what's true. We're going to plug into what's true. And there's an attitude of mutav, to be embarrassed now. Yeah, it might not be understood and voted how that looks, but we're a people of emes, a ben olam haba. We want Hashem to have nachas. We want that which is true, that which stands for all eternity. I look at a yeshiva founded by Reb Noach Weinberg, founded a light of truth, a light of Torah, a fire of Torah. And I look at a place that so many Yidden have come here that it's possible to plug into emes. In a world with there's so much PR, and what's this one saying? Everything's like publicity. How is it going to show up on Instagram? How is it going to be seen? It's possible to plug into that which is sincere, that which is authentic, that which is emes. It's possible to plug into. And Rav Amram Chasida, from his perch on the ladder, said to the Talmidim, could be I could have saved myself other ways. But we don't, I'm not building a yeshiva that will like here, like to be popular, to do. Of course we care what people think, of course, that's fine, that counts. But we can plug into a deeper truth. Mutav, to be embarrassed now. Mutav, not to be understood in an alma de shekra. And to plug into that which is emes. I think in this holy building, in this holy makam, how many Yidden had family members who first, and it's important that families should understand them. How many people decided to follow Hashem, and family members said, what, are you crazy? Today, Shabbos, today, how many people in this holy Beis Medrash, how many people, this walls could say Eidos, to how many Yidden who followed, who understood that calling of Rav Amram Chasida, that there's eternal truths, and you can't give in to what this one says, that one. Yes, from his perch, it was the best shir Rav Amram Chasida ever said. From halfway up the ladder, Rav Amram Chasida taught his Talmidim, in this yeshiva we're going to plug into that which is sincere, that which is authentic, that which is true. And yet there might be times we're not understood. People say, what's wrong with you? Are you so weak? You were doing an aver? I'm trying, I'm plugging in, I'm working on myself. We're human beings, we're human, with human frailty, with human nisyonis, we're human. And as human, with past, with history, with struggles, with difficulties, with failings, and we're trying to serve Hashem. That's the Rebbe I'd only want to learn by such a Rebbe. And the Talmidim, they could go to a different Beis Medrash. I know every guy I'm close to, we all would just run to learn by Rav Amram. That's the only Beis Medrash I have to go learn by. That Rav Amram Chasido in his Beis Medrash said, yeah, is it so popular? Is it so, look, I could put that beautiful conversation from halfway up the ladder. But he taught his Talmidim that the way to climb the Sulam is sometimes to say there are things, what's this one going to say, what that one, with all the human frailty, that I can bring a light. It's not, of course, if people can understand is wonderful, and we'll explain and try. But the human being in his own sugya to bring a light, to bring sincerity in the service of Hashem, to be Mekadesh Shem Shemayim, to bring honor to Hashem's name in his own unique circumstance. Others wouldn't understand and can't understand. But from your place, in Mekadesh Shem Shemayim, mutav, that in a temporary sense, I don't get it, what's going on? But al mudasi, for all eternity, people are very impressed. Wow, this person chose emes. How many Zaydas have Nachashem come? Think about this holy Beis Medrash. How many Zaydas and El Zaydas and Shemaim? How many Yidden who at first said, what are you doing? I don't get it. There's not the family way. What's happening? And today you have Yiddish and Nachas from Dairis of Yidden living right, living true. That was Rav Amram Chasid, I believe, taught. I see in it my Rebbe, the Nevardiker. I see him as a Rav Amram Chasida, as a Talmud, who said, yeah, maybe sometimes, and would speak honestly about human frailty, about his own weaknesses, his own challenges, and encouraged us, despite difficulty and challenges and humanness. I shouldn't say despite, that's the place of the greatest Kiddush Shemayim. My Rebbe would daven for Am and Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Until today, I hear him Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, and the piece that the most I loved he would describe the difference between fiery angels and amazing angels serving Hashem, but Avisa Sihila, the prayer Hashem wanted is from the frail human who made a mistake last night and yesterday and might even make mistakes tomorrow. But the frail human, Avisa Sihila, Hashem wants the prayer and the service of the frail human. So the Rabbanah Shalom should be Mizaka us all. Our Torah should turn into a prayer. Hashem should be Mizaka us all. In our unique situations, each one of us, to be Mekadosh Shem Shamayim, to shine a light, not to take polls, but to be an Ivri, in the full sense of the word, to do what's true, to do what's authentic, to do what's right, and shine a light in our own unique places. Hatzlacha, and thank you so much.